That's why I'm sorry.
Good
I'm downstairs
evening
right now, downstairs.
and welcome to another RAM Facebook Live broadcast. My name is Anne
Hmm.
Fumi Fatusen, the convener of Renewing the African Mindset. RAM is a non-profit organization established in 2012. It seeks to redress topical issues which affect or impact negatively within the Afro-Caribbean cultural and sociological context. In other words, it's a platform which encourages openness so as to demystify some taboos which affect the mindset. The usual format for RAM is to have a discussion before a live audience. However, Facebook audio live chat is also another way of promoting the RAM initiative. Without further ado, tonight's discussion is on Down syndrome. As is the usual theme with RAM, the discussion will be in three folds. The first is to create awareness about the subject matter. The subject matter for this evening is Down syndrome. And the second is sharing of personal experience. Tonight with us, we have a parent sharing his experience with a young adult who has Down syndrome. And the third strand of this discussion is to encourage support and partnership. Support in terms of anybody going through the same thing. Maybe they have a child or a family member who has Down syndrome. And also to seek for sponsorship and some sort of support from local and international sources, because the intention is to give hope to parents of people who have this condition. You might have known that that people with Down syndrome, they have unique features because it's a genetic disorder which affects the intellectual abilities of a child. So typically associated with physical growth delays, and the facial features include slanting eyes, flat forehead, large tongue, stubby fingers, flat nasal cavities, to mention a few. So tonight with me, I have a parent who will be sharing his personal experience about his son. My guest is an accomplished
Right.
events organizer in the music entertainment industry. He has produced and directed notable concerts, some of which include the 1999 Musom Jazz and World Music Day concert. He is a father of four, one of whom has Down syndrome. This parent has been a member and volunteer of Down Syndrome Foundation in Nigeria since 2001. He is currently the vice president and the administrator for the foundation. Please join me in welcoming Muiwa Majakodrumi, otherwise known as Majek, to this
Hi.
live chat.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Good
so much,
evening.
Anne.
Good evening,
And
Muiwa.
thank you so much for having me on air with you.
Okay, so we're going to run through some questions this evening
Yes.
because there are people out there who have a family member with Down syndrome. And at times when you have a situation like that, a lot of people believe that, the whole world has just crashed on them. And you've lived
Yes.
through it. You are still living through it. So it will be a source of encouragement for somebody like you to share your experience with us, regarding your, I don't want to say child, but even if the child is 100 years old, is still a child. We know your
It's still
son
a child.
is
Yes, that's right.
about 30 plus. So you're going to share all that with us. So could you tell me, how old is your son with Down syndrome?
BJ, well, that's his nickname. His real name is Olu Makiwa. Was born in 1988, October 24th,
Right.
which means he's going to be 31 this year.
So which means he's going to be 31 this year. So that's an adult.
He's an adult. Yes, he's an adult. Yes.
Okay. So, how old was your wife when she had him?
My wife was 29.
She was
Yes, she
29.
was 29. Yes, it was closer to 30, I think.
Okay. The
Yes,
reason why,
29.
yeah,
29, yes.
the reason why I asked the question is because there is some sort of misconception about people who have children with Down syndrome, that maybe they were in their 50s when they had, when they were pregnant with the child, or maybe they were in their 40s,
Yes.
but your wife was actually 29 going on 30.
29 going on 30, yes.
Going on
29
30. Okay. So when did you start noticing something was not quite right with your son? What were the signs that you thought, there's something quite not right here?
Well, it was like actually right immediately after he was born.
Yes.
The very day he was born, he had unusual features. Like you mentioned, slanting eyes, and his body was quite floppy and very, very, extremely, very soft.
So you had slanting eyes, and what else?
Loose joint. Well, generally, we didn't notice the loose joints until later, but basically it was his eyes
That was very
indicated
obvious.
that there was, yes, and then his nose, mouth, hands were unusual.
When you say unusual,
and
in
then-
what sense? Unusual, in what sense?
His hands, they were short. They're kind of short and stubby, kind of.
Short and stubby. Okay.
And then he had a slightly flattened appearance at the back of the head, which was not your usual condition for a child.
Right.
But
Okay.
we knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was the doctor. I cannot remember the exact people, but I think the doctor told us a few days after that our child had Down syndrome,
Wow.
and that's the only thing I remember. And at that point in time, we went internet. In fact, there was no internet in 1988,
Right.
so there wasn't much I could do in terms of research
Okay.
until much later.
So when the doctor actually told you about what the condition was, did you understand what he was talking about?
It was all Greek and Hebrew mixed up to me. It was all Greek to me. I didn't understand it. And I don't remember the exact details because it's such a long time ago.
Right.
He didn't quite explain what the condition meant. And I don't think it was a very, not many people know what the condition, what the condition entailed.
Right.
So there wasn't much information until much later in life.
Right. Okay. So, like in the UK, I need to let our audience know that you are in Nigeria as we're talking. I'm in the UK here, but in the UK, they do offer, during the time I had children as well, and I'm sure they still do. Maybe they offer other tests as well. There is this test called amniocentesis in those days.
Exactly. Yes.
This was actually offered from about week 10 of pregnancy, which is a simple test to determine abnormalities and fetal infections.
Yes.
Was your wife offered that? Was she offered amniocentesis?
Not that I recall, not that I remember, and I don't think so.
Okay.
It was never mentioned, and I don't think it was. I don't think. To be honest, I don't think it was ever mentioned to us at all. It never crossed the doctor's mind. It never crossed our minds because we'd never come across this condition called Down syndrome before.
Okay.
So even if we did know about it, we thought that it happens to other people, not to us. Get my point. It probably wouldn't happen to us. It never crossed our minds. It never crossed our minds about never heard about it before.
Okay. All right. So when you now realize that, wait a minute, this baby seems a bit different. What were your initial reactions? Was it to give the baby up for adoption? Was it to keep him? I'm sure at that time you were a bit confused, but what came to your mind as an African? You know.
When you say African, I had a very liberal upbringing. So,
Right.
it never crossed our minds to give him up for adoption. It never crossed our minds to. I don't think we were really upset about it. I wasn't really upset about it. I don't think my wife. To be honest, my wife and I never really discussed the situation at all.
Right.
We just accepted it.
You just accepted it.
Accepted it. Yes, from day one. It was a gift. It was a child. A child from God, and that was it. That was it. It was from day one. Acceptance. Even though that wasn't the word we used, but with hindsight, it just fits the description of our response to the situation of that time, because I accepted him as a gift from God.
Okay.
Not being aware of the challenges that we were going to face ahead.
Right.
So really, with hindsight, I would not have, even if we'd done that prenatal test, crisis.
Yeah.
I find it really hard to pronounce. I do not think we would have gone through abortion or anything like that.
Okay.
We're not God.
Okay.
We don't. I don't play God in any of my children's lives. So
Okay.
I accepted my son from day one as a gift.
So in a way, maybe your faith actually helped you through the situation.
When you say faith, I wasn't much of a faith person that time.
Okay.
I was just. I think it was my free spirit, my bohemian attitude, my attitude to life.
Yeah.
My take what comes out of life.
Right.
That's just me. Adventure spirit for me was just this was the get go. Go ahead with life and live one day at a time.
At a time. Okay. Now, how did other members of the family relate to him as he was growing up? Aunties, uncles, cousins. Because he also has, you also have other children, don't you? So how did they relate to him?
BJ is my first. BJ is my first.
Right.
He's my very first. But let me start from the beginning. I think he was accepted from. I don't know what people were saying behind. We're very. You are very diplomatic and very politically correct.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were saying behind, but generally speaking, he was accepted, and I don't think anybody ever spoke about in our presence. But generally speaking, he was accepted.
He was accepted, like any other child in the family.
Like any other child in the family. Yes.
Okay.
Like any other child, yes.
Okay. Maybe you need to adjust your phone a little bit. It's sounding so muffled so that people can hear you clearly.
Okay.
It's sounding very muffled. Yeah.
Is it better now?
Yeah. What learning difficulties did you experience with him?
Well, it's still present now, because one of the characteristics of the condition is that the children born with Down syndrome, have learning challenges, learning disabilities,
right?
Intellectual disabilities. So they tend to learn things slower than you and I or any other. And I don't want to use normal kids. Any other kid,
Yeah.
But they have certain challenges.
Right.
Of course, even physical challenges too. But more, there's a what they call developmental delay.
Right.
And it varies from each child, from the mild to moderate.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Did you send him to a mainstream school though?
Yes, when he was old enough to go.
Right.
I sent him to 3 main schools.
Why 3 main schools? Why 3 mainstream schools?
Well, I had to. I moved my children. I moved him. Let me try and remember. This is a long time ago. He's 31 years old. Remember?
Right.
They didn't know how to handle him.
Okay.
I didn't know how to handle him. The special education wasn't that common at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the last school I moved him from, he was being bullied.
Okay, he was being bullied. Okay.
He was being bullied, yes.
Okay.
In fact, the last school I took, I won't mention the name of the school.
Right, no problem.
He was seriously cut up with a blade.
Right.
By some child, some other student in his class.
Right.
And I just found out they weren't taking care of my son, and I had to withdraw him for a while until I came across Mrs. Modi.
All right, Mrs. Modi being the president of the Down Syndrome Foundation in Nigeria.
Yes.
Okay.
In Nigeria.
Okay, because she also has a child, or should I say, how do you normally call them?
A young adult.
A young adult with Down syndrome as well. Okay.
Down syndrome, yes. So
Okay.
Awele is 32 this year.
Okay, she's
Awele is
32. Okay.
32 this year, and I've learned so much in the last 18 years.
Right.
Of 19 years now.
Yeah.
I think of joining the foundation.
Okay.
But before I found Mrs. Modi, there was another organization, foundation that was running a program
Right.
for people with disabilities.
Yes.
She was there for a while, and that was CDC. And then I moved DJ from CDC to Mrs. Modi, to
Right.
the Down Syndrome Foundation.
Okay. Okay. Do you have reservations about your son leading an independent life, perhaps starting his own family? Do you have reservations regarding that? Or
Wow. Mrs. Modi and I have discussed this.
yes.
And she's made me realize that it is a reality I must face.
Right.
Whether I'm prepared to accept it is another thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's the reality, and then there's the acceptance. The whatever it is, the acceptance. I'm not sure if I am emotionally and psychologically ready.
Mm-hmm.
But it's his life. You get my point. He has to live his life.
Yeah.
My fear or my concern is my son ready for that commitment, psychologically,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, and otherwise?
Yes.
Because it's not just a question of the meeting of the glands; it's the meeting of minds.
But do you know the same thing happens to other people as well? Let's forget about Down syndrome now. For example, I have two boys in their late 20s, and I hint about, are you trying, when are you going to settle down and things like that? And it's like, don't ask me now, ask me later. So even though I know that your son has a condition, so there are times too, that it's true. Some people, are they psychologically ready? Are they mentally ready? Are they, all sort of things.
Yes.
And I know that it's a concern for any parent, especially where you have somebody with Down syndrome. So, but I think I'd probably like to think, as you said initially, that you take one day as it comes. And you've been doing that in the last 31 years, so to speak.
31 years. Yes.
And kudos to you and your wife. 31 years is a long time.
It's a long time, yes.
Yeah.
And no regrets.
No regrets. I'm happy to hear that. Yes, no regrets at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now,
and I must tell you, Fumi, that I like to qualify myself as a proud parent.
a proud
I'm
parent.
very proud of that young man.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm very proud. I'm not ashamed of him.
No,
And,
nothing to be ashamed about.
It's nothing to be ashamed about, really. Nothing whatsoever.
No. So how did you come about the Down Syndrome Foundation? Let's talk about the foundation now.
Now, after I withdrew my son from the last school,
Right.
I was kind of hanging in limbo.
Yes.
And one day, thank God for Abasojo who introduced telephones at that time. Anyhow, and luckily for me, there was light that Saturday afternoon. Mrs. Modi happened to be on Channel television.
Right.
I just happened to watch it, and she was there with Awele.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Awele looks like my son. So I listened to the program, and I had a friend working with Channel. And so I called her and said, look, I need to get the address of this lady, Mrs. Modi. I need to get,
So they should kindly scroll the address across the screen, which they did eventually. And first thing on Monday morning, I think it was October 19th, 2001. I can't remember the exact, but I think it was October 19th, 2001. I drove straight to the foundation, met with Mrs. Modi, and from day one, she accepted my son. And that was it. It's been a roller coaster ride since October 2001. October, incidentally, I didn't realize it then. October, incidentally, happened to be still up to now, still happens to be the Awareness Week program for the foundation.
Yes.
So she was on television that period, creating awareness for the Awareness Week for the foundation.
Yes.
And that's how I got in contact with Mrs. Modi.
Which is a good thing, because you said you saw her on television with her daughter. And when you looked at her daughter, you thought, she looks the way my son does. And I'm hoping tonight that somebody somewhere would listen to this broadcast, listen to you, and think, if this father could still be as loving from day one up till now, and I'm sure forever, towards his son, definitely there's nothing to be worried about. There is no shame in it. If the person has a Down syndrome child, that there is still hope. It's not the end of the world.
Right.
It's creating that awareness. They are special children, special people with unique abilities, and that's the way we ought to see them. Yes. So, you were talking to me about the Down Syndrome Foundation. Some people would like to know, do you operate a day center or is it residential?
Well, it's residential. It's been residential for the last almost 15 to 16 years.
Wow.
And it's also because we recently moved to our new place in Fagda from Surulere.
Yes.
It's also residential as well as people bring in the young adults and children, those who can bring them in daily. But we have about almost 47 people in residence right now.
Okay.
And basically our core areas of focus are educational intervention, vocational training, social education, social integration, and these are training efforts geared towards making them independent.
Yes. So when you say it's residential, do they live there Monday to Friday, or is it for a whole term, or I don't understand?
It's for a whole term. It's for a whole term. They live there for a whole term.
Okay.
We have boarding facilities. It's fully residential. We have boarding facilities, the dormitories, bathrooms, toilets, kitchens.
Yeah.
So it's full-fledged.
Okay. Right. Do you, we are still trying to create the awareness regarding Down syndrome and other conditions, and the way we perceive things, as opposed to living in advanced nations. Do you get support, sponsorship from the government at all? Maybe the general public or corporate organizations?
Well, let me start from the government. Especially starting with let's start with Governor Fashola first. I think
the former governor of Lagos State.
The former governor of Lagos State was supportive of what we were doing.
Okay.
While he was in power, he helped also sponsor a couple of our children abroad for heart surgery. Some of the children are born with heart conditions. So at that time, he helped fund the surgical operations of some of the children when he was in power.
Right.
We've also received support from Mrs. Fashola, even up to today. Mrs. Fashola is supporting up to this very moment as I speak.
Yes.
Because she was present at the reception at UNIC today.
Yes, the World Down Syndrome Day.
Yes, the Governor Ambode.
Yes.
Stepped up the notch. A couple of stepped it up on steroids, so to speak, and then created a disability fund for Lagos State individuals who have disability issues.
Yes.
He also started this grants, 500 million grants
Wow.
fund for people living with in Lagos.
Yes.
So my prayer is that with the new government coming in, they will continue from where he left off. So that is as far as government is concerned. We've received some support from private corporate bodies,
Yes.
very few. Very few.
Very few. Is this due? It's probably due to the fact that there hasn't been much promotion about the foundation. Anyway, maybe the word should actually go out there that if there are any CEOs of any organizations listening to this broadcast, whether locally, internationally, please, I think they should incorporate, Down Syndrome Foundation as part of their corporate social responsibility program. This is what we're talking about. To give back to the community, however they can support your foundation. It would be really, really good if anybody is out there to support your foundation. Because it's not only in financial ways, because I remember when I was checking your website, it's not only financially. I mean, what type of support would you, would the organization, your foundation, expect?
I'll tell you one story. For instance, do you believe that we have a German organization?
You're right.
Through Lagos Contact,
yes.
supporting us.
A German organization. Wow.
Yes, it's supporting us. Yes.
Charity begins at home, they say. Nigerians need to rise up then.
Pardon?
I said Nigerians need to rise up then. If a German organization is actually helping the foundation, what about all the other corporate organizations? Yes.
And then a few Nigerian organizations, I guess I don't want to. I guess we're not allowed to plug their names, of course.
No, we don't want to plug names. They haven't really paid for anything.
There are a few Nigerian organizations who are supporting us, but you see, on a scale of 1 to 10,
yes,
it's just about 1.5%.
Right.
At 1.
Wow, sorry, that's really bad.
Or less than 1.
Yes.
So it's sad, and it's a lot of pressure on the foundation. There's a lot of pressure on the facilities. A lot of pressure on us.
Yes, I can imagine.
We are trying to struggle here and there to raise funds.
Yes.
But the fact that we have survived 18 years, going on 19 years,
yes,
it means that we're doing something right. And then it's, of course, I will not deny the fact that there's some divine intervention.
You're right. Yeah.
Yes, I would not dismiss that. There's divine intervention, and it's been remarkable that we survived this long.
Yeah, I mean, for example, last week, I noted something about the foundation, that you had a visit from an NGO known as Best Buddies.
Best Buddies.
Yes. What did they come there to do?
Well, I found it that Best Buddies is an international organization, but they're just setting up in Lagos.
Right.
And the whole idea behind Best Buddies is to help create mentors, mentors for each individual child. One mentor will be assigned to a child.
Yes.
But they even went a bit further by saying, look, these young adults need, some kind of support.
Yes.
And not just a question of giving them fish, but teaching them how to fish.
Yes.
So they came up with this idea of creating beauty. What do you call it? Beauty
makeup. Because I noticed that they were all geared up. They had makeup and doing the car walk. Yes.
Yes. So, it was amazing. The transformation was amazing.
Yes.
And they even designed the cover of our current magazine.
Oh.
The young adults. They did the photography, they did the makeup, they did the costuming and everything.
Yes.
So in a way of telling people that out there that, look, these children can be showcased on magazine covers, fashion shows, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So it really is not about giving them fish, but teaching them how to fish, give them opportunities to work.
Okay.
In the creative different creative fields.
Yes, because I remember when we're having this discussion that some of them, I think I saw one or two who appeared in one of the Nollywood shows. So if anybody is out there listening to this broadcast and they're Nollywood producers, or even if it's Gollywood, as in Ghanaians, or you never know. It could even be Bollywood. There could be an Indian, TV producer listening to me, listening to this broadcast. Please, we need support from you. We need people from your foundation. They can act, can they? And there's and then there's also somebody, she's actually online right now. She does vocational training for young adults in the UK here. She comes to Nigeria regularly. Her name is Vicky Olawoye. So she will definitely, I can assure you, she will come in there to help them in teaching them how to sew. She's very good with things like that. So, and I'm sure with the Deola Segos of this world, if they're listening to us, to ensure that they do something, give back to the community,
That's right.
in any way they can assist, even some people, I think somebody mentioned the other day that if they're into catering, they can come in there to teach the young adults how to cook.
Exactly.
Yes. So,
Exactly.
So, you were going to say something? Yes.
There was a friend of mine, Austin Animaku,
Right.
a couple of years ago, because he's a fashion designer.
Yes.
And he organizes this fashion shows from time to time every year.
Right.
And I think it was the second edition or third edition of his fashion show that he actually deployed some of our young adults
Yes.
to get on the catwalk and who model some of his clothes.
Okay.
And believe me, they made so much impact. Unfortunately, nothing has really come out of that yet. But at that point in time, it made so much impact. And I'm looking forward to more fashion designers coming to employ some of our children to showcase some of their clothes on the catwalk.
Yeah. So in fact, we need the likes of Wizkid, Davido, Olumide as well to use some of these young adults in their in their recordings. So the word has to go out there to them, to let people know that we're not only seeking for financial support here, but in any shape or form that they can help to improve the lives of these special people. There's another thing I wanted to ask. Is there any effective support network apart from the Down Syndrome Foundation, yours, for families who have intellectual disability or Down syndrome in Nigeria? Is there any support network at all?
Right now, there are various parties of various organizations springing up here and there.
Okay.
Parent support groups, other organizations like the foundation, like us, are coming up.
Yeah.
But we are definitely networking. So there is a. It may not be that formalized yet.
Yeah.
But there is a structure, a developing structure in place that is ensuring that there is a network of support. Unfortunately, a lot of these people who have people with children with Down syndrome are indigent.
Yes.
Yeah, point. So what they really need is financial support, which is very, very hard to come by.
Right.
What we can give right now is basically the counseling,
and
the emotional and psychological support. But in terms of finance, believe me, everybody is chasing their own demons, or demons are chasing their ability, however you look at it. But there is a growing support group, a network for this kind of support. Yes.
So would you say that the mindset of people regarding Down syndrome is beginning to change? Do we now have a bit of understanding? Because in the past, the mindset was a bit awkward, was a bit warped when it came to having children like that some people would even keep them at home, or they would take them to a remote area so that other members of the family and their friends wouldn't know that they had such children. So would you say that the mindset is changing?
Well, it is changing gradually in the sense that when we first started the foundation, very few people were coming out.
Okay.
Very, very, very few. Right now, with the awareness that has been created over the years by the foundation and even other bodies, more people are beginning to come out of the closet to say, look, I have a child, I have a son, I have a daughter with this condition. What can I do? I mean, but you see, the superstition is still right now.
Yes.
In the sense that people say the child is from the devil. The condition is caused by some influence of witchcraft and things like that. It's still pervasive, but mindsets are changing slowly.
Okay.
We're not where we were before, like I said, but we're not where we should be.
Okay.
But we've moved gradually, and I think we're succeeding in that regard.
Okay. So on a final note, my final question is, if there is any parent out there who has a child with Down syndrome listening to this broadcast, what would be your message to them?
Well, let me put it this way. If I'm now beginning to find out why God gave me my son, right? BJ. And I begin to find out that the purpose on earth is not it should be a beacon of light.
Yes.
So that others may find their way. And I think that's what my purpose is that I'm a beacon of light showing people the way. And I will advise them that the first thing you must do when you are faced with this challenge is to accept it, accept the challenge, accept the children as they are, accept the gift that God has given you.
Yes.
Be strong. Ensure you educate them and inspire them.
Yes.
But the bottom line apart from accept, educate, which is our mantra, accept, educate, inspire. The bottom line is to love them. Unconditionally. Unconditionally.
Yes.
You know, and that's what they thrive on.
Yeah.
That is what they thrive on. Because they're extremely sensitive to your attitude and things like that.
Yeah.
And because I gave my son the freedom to express himself, he's integrated socially. He mixes very well with people. He's not shy to express himself. He's very open.
Yeah.
And he's just who he is. And just allow these children that God has given you to be who they want to be.
Yeah.
And not hold them down, you know.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
All right. So really and truly, a problem shared, as they say, is a problem half solved. So there is no point in keeping things to yourself. Go out there, talk about it, open up your mindset. And these children are special. Nothing to be ashamed about.
Nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing at all.
Yeah.
In fact, what you should be ashamed of is you're being ashamed.
Okay. All right. That's true. Muyiwa, thank you so much for taking time out to share your personal experience with us. We sincerely hope that you've been able to encourage somebody out there who has a family member with Down syndrome. People with Down syndrome, like we've said, they are unique in their own way and should be adored like any other human being. So for all our listeners out there or people who are going to listen to this broadcast later on, please do try as much as possible to sponsor any Down syndrome foundation in your local area. If you're in Nigeria listening, if you're in the States, Canada, anywhere in the world that you're listening, please do try to support the foundation. And or anything you can do. It's not only in terms of financial contributions, but anything you can do to support the foundation. On a final note, should anybody wish to be part of the RAM live chat, please send an email to contact@renewedafricanmindset.org. And I'd like to say thank you to everyone for listening. Good night.
Good night.